hate to say this, but Bernie, it appears as if somebody's trying to defraud the company.
Gentlemen, this is good work. Very, very good work.
How would you two like to come to my house at the beach?
The man absolutely loves us.
Actor, director, and travel writer Andrew McCarthy, he loves being alone, and especially loves being alone when he travels, but it is traveling alone to some of the world's most remote spots that made him learn to realize what exactly it means to truly need others. And he writes about that and his journey in his new book, The Longest Way Home. He is with us on Off Duty. Hey, Andrew.
Hi.
Some of these places you've been, Patagonia, the Amazon, Vienna, Dublin, you must have a pretty colorful passport at this point.
I do. I just had to get a new one, actually. But yeah, I've been to a lot of good spots. There's still a lot I want to go to, though.
I want to get to the root of what drives you to travel. And you wrote in your book that the character you played in St. Elmo's Fire, that character fits you better than almost any you had ever played because the character was ambivalent and had uncertainty regarding his place in the world. And I'm wondering, has ambivalence driven your desire to travel?
I don't know if it drove my desire to travel, but it certainly plagued me. You know, I am one of those people that I have a strong feeling, and then in the next moment I go, but on the other hand, so I'm constantly sort of back and forth with so many things, and a lot of times it served me well, but other times it sort of plagued me and almost sunk me. The book's about, it plays out in these exotic places, but it's really much more of a memoir, internal kind of thing. How am I'm asking myself the question, how am I going to get married to this person that I love, and yet on the other hand, I just got to get out of here.
And that is essentially the narrative arc. I mean, you're poised, about to enter into your second marriage, and you essentially set off on a journey of seeing the world while your wife is back, Dolores is planning the wedding. How did
Well, yes and no. I mean, yes, I am doing, but I mean, I wasn't just a complete selfish idiot. I mean, I was writing articles for magazines. Right. It was sort of my job.
You had excuses.
Excuses
why you were traveling. Let's be clear, excuses.
And that's exactly correct. But you know, I found solutions in my life by traveling. That's, you know, some people go to therapy, others like to sit around, have tea, and chat and talk it out. I find solutions like when the boot hits the ground, you know, and that's how I hear myself and feel myself and know what it is that I want.
And why being alone when you travel? What do you get being alone that you don't get when you're with someone else?
Well, if you and I go traveling, we're having our experience of each other in that place, and
right.
It may be very romantic or whatever it is, but it's our experience. If you're alone, you're generally untethered, and you're much more vulnerable, and you're dependent on the kindness of strangers, as it were, and I find it opens me up in a way that I'm not at all when I'm at home. You know, at home I'll walk by somebody on the street and get out of my way, whereas if I'm in some far off place, I'll stop and look, and you know, if they come up to me and start chatting, I'm happy to chat with them. You know, so I'm a better version of myself when I'm far away.
You don't figure out sort of your plans often until you land in a place. You sort of land there and then you figure it out as you go. You take a harder route, and I'm wondering if you think when traveling in general, if taking that harder route is really the best route to learning to understand the place that you are, that if you've got it all mapped out with the hotel, you're never going to get the essence of the place.
Well, it depends what kind of travel you want to do. I mean, vacations are one thing, and I love a good vacation, but I mean, the kind of travel that I like to do, I don't use travel as an escape. I've never understood really people that think travel is an escape from their life. Because wherever I go, there I am, I'm stuck with me. An hour on a beach, and I'm like, what am I going to do now? If I'm insulated in a beautiful hotel, I have a wonderful experience of being in a beautiful hotel. But that's not an experience of traveling and being away and being sort of wide open to the world.
A lot of people have this debate. I have this debate when I travel. How much to be in touch with the texting, with the email? Can you ever actually understand a place and figure it out if you're still so connected back to your other life? How did you handle that, particularly when you were sort of, you know, in the middle of your engagement?
I mean, I think you're totally right. You can't really. I mean, it was a lot easier, certainly even 10, 7, 5 years ago, when it was much more difficult to be out of touch. Now, the minute we're slightly uncomfortable, we just reach out. I mean, how quickly are we always reaching for our cell phones to check and sort of try and be connected? But I think the essence of that connection disconnects us even further. So it's sort of the very thing we're trying to connect with is depleting us in a certain way. So, but it's a wonderful device to avoid uncomfortableness. And when you're traveling well, you have to get very uncomfortable. My experience is when I get very uncomfortable and very miserable and very lonely and go, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. Then it happens. Right after that, it happens. But when we spend all our time trying to avoid that feeling, it's not a good thing.
Now, people look at the places that you've gone. I mean, some pretty exotic places, and obviously it takes some money to get there. And they say, all right, well, you're an actor. You were in St. Elmo's Fire, Pretty in Pink, the Joy Luck Club, Weekend at Bernie's.
He's loaded.
The list
What
goes
the
on.
hell?
He has so much money. But you actually don't travel, you know, always on the most sort of expensive dime. I mean, you don't feel you have to travel, have a lot of money to sort of have an amazing trip, and you often live that out yourself.
No, I don't. I think people don't travel because they're afraid, period. I don't think it's financial. I don't think it's time. I think people don't travel because they're afraid. And there's lots of reasons to avoid, you know, and there's justification for anything. I've proven to my friends that I can travel cheaper than I can live at home. And, you know, and I think it's fear, you know, and I think this is my whole soapbox, but I mean, I think America is an amazing, incredible place, but it's also an incredibly fearful place, and we make really fearful decisions, and travel obliterates fear. You know, it just does. That great Mark Twain line, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. You know, and so if people traveled, they would be less fearful. And if we were less fearful, we would be a better country because we wouldn't be making fearful decisions. Every bad decision I've made is based in fear. Not every fearful decision I've made is bad.
Throughout your career and anything?
And in my life. Not every fearful decision I made is bad, but every bad decision was made based in fear.
Interesting.
You know, and I think most people are ruled by fear much more than they admit. It certainly was the case with me.
You write candidly about that fear. You also write pretty candidly about you know, the problems you had with alcohol earlier in your life, and you know, waking up one morning you're in Berlin, but you wake up in Amsterdam the next day.
Yeah.
And you then had, you know, you then sort of used travel as part of the healing process. I mean, how did travel help you overcome the substance abuse?
Well, I don't think it helped me overcome substance abuse at all. It helped. No, it certainly didn't do that at all. But it helped me just get in touch with who I am. It just helped me find who I was. It helped me grow up. You know, because I was also in a lot of movies and things at the time, and so I was living in this very sort of odd world that was not that connected with reality. And when I would just go out on my own and sort of confront the world on its own terms, I just grew up through travel.
One place that you've been, it doesn't necessarily have to be one of the places you write about in this book, but that you, if you were going to tell everybody out there, you must see this place, what would you say that is?
God, I don't know. People ask me that. I was recently in Sudan, and I found Sudan to be, and everyone said, what are you, out of your mind? Why are you going to Sudan? And I found Sudan to be a really amazing place to visit. There's very little tourist infrastructure, but I found that people really want, any place I think the world is a welcoming place. I'm not a danger junkie, but places like that. I was recently in Mozambique, which I also thought was fantastic. You know, I like places that aren't totally ready for that almighty dollar.
Right.
You know, because they're still themselves.
And if you were ranking the jobs you've had as actor, writer, director, traveler, like from being least favorite to most favorite, how would you do that?
Oh, they're all the best, really. I have the best jobs in the world. Yeah, I mean, they're all just sort of passions of mine that I sort of somehow finagled my way into sort of making livings at, you know. So they're all the same to me, really, too. I don't see a difference between them. They all touch that same sort of notion of connection and communication. It's odd I'm such a solitary person on one hand, but on the other hand, what my sort of thing is, what I'm interested in is connection, you know, and that's where the action's at.
Well, writing a book is a solitary process. You have done it. It's called The Longest Way Home. Andrew McCarthy, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.